Hi guys, so welcome back to another video. We've already done a video just recently on technique around the greens, helping you avoid those horrible duff shots, thins around the greens, inconsistent strikes. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. The link's going to be in the top corner up here. Okay, so we're not going to focus too much on technique in this video now. This is going to be more about shot selection, club selection, and avoiding disasters around the greens, basically. The one little bit about technique I would say is that for these shots here, I'm going to use, so I've learned a lot about my shot game over the last year or so with Dan Greaves. So he talks about his 3 different releases. And the release one's basically a pretty standard stock chip shot where the club ends up in here. Okay, so it comes back to pretty much your left hip at impact. So you still use a little bit of the bounce. The release 2 is where the club passes a little more and it generally points at your belt buckle here. And the release 3 is the full-on snarling flop shot that you should basically never use ever, especially if you're a high handicapper. Just ignore that shot. But for these shots here, the basic technique, we're going to concentrate on a release 1. So every shot should really finish around about here. Okay, so you're still using a bit of the bounce, but you're not playing a super high, super spinny, super risky shot. Okay, so what we're going to do is demonstrate a few different pin placements here. Hopefully Andy can get in behind here and we'll have a look at down the line as well. But basically, I'm going to talk through the way that I play these shots, the way that I see these shots, and the club selections that go alongside it. So this nearest pin here, right, we've got probably 7 or 8 yards of semi-rough to go over, and maybe 6 or 7 yards of green. So for this shot here, I could use a 60, but I don't really like using my 60 on these shots because it doesn't have a lot of bounce. It's quite easy to hit a little heavy and get inconsistent strikes. So I prefer actually using my 56 and just opening the face up a little bit to add a bit of loft. But it's a pretty basic release 1 shot. And my thoughts around the green is pretty much always, I try to land the ball 1 or 2 paces on the green, no matter where the pin is, no matter where I am, okay? So I won't muck about too much with hitting the ball crazy high and trying to spin it, but I also don't really want to land the ball in this semi-rough because you can get some funny bounces. So basically what I'm saying is I try and play the easiest, simplest shot every time and then just change the club selection to suit the pin. Okay, so this nearest pin, like I said, I need to open up my 56 a little bit. Land it just on the green, releases out to a foot. Okay, that was a pretty good example actually, I'm quite happy with that one. So if we go to the second pin here, it's a little bit further away. Now if I use my 56 here, I've got to use a little bit more speed to get the ball to go there. So I don't really like that option because it means I've got to hit it harder, makes the technique a little bit more difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to a 50-degree wedge instead. Same shot. Again, I like to open the face a little bit on these just to expose a little bit more of the bounce. But same idea. So same technique, same ball position, everything. And just release it out. I hit that one a little bit too hard, but it's probably still 4 or 5 feet, maybe 6 feet past the pin. And then if we go to the furthest pin, so if Andy can zoom in on that one, we've got the furthest pin here. So we've got, again, probably 7 or 8 yards of semi-rough to go over, but probably 20 yards of green. So again, if I use the 50 here, I've got to carry it much further into the green. I've got to make a longer swing, so there's more chance of things going wrong. So what I'm going to do for this one is go up to a 9-iron, okay? So the general theme here is I try to keep the technique the same, depending on the pin. But the further the pin is away, I just change the club selection to suit it. Okay, keep it nice and simple. So same technique with the 9-iron. It's going to come out much lower. And release all the way up there. A little bit short, 5 feet short, something like that. But it's just a really simple shot to play. You know, it's the same technique as the 56, same technique as the 50, but you're using the club and the loft on the club to change the shot, to change the approach to the pin. Like I said, they're all landing about the same distance onto the green, so your landing spots don't have to change. But that's generally how I would play those shots, and that's how I would advise anybody, particularly high handicappers, is keep the game simple. Put the 60-degree wedge away if you don't, unless you have to, unless it's an extreme situation. Get your 50 out, your 9-iron, whatever, and just play. Keep the technique the same. Like I said in the previous video, just rock the body, keep it in here, and just use different clubs to change the shot that you're playing. Okay, so that's the first part. We're going to go on to the second part here, which is more around strategy and avoiding disasters around the game. I'm going to demonstrate a few difficult situations here, ones that are going to give you nightmares. They give me nightmares, they give everybody nightmares. But basically, we've got a situation here where we've got a fairly tight lie, there's not a whole lot of grass under the ball, we've got a bunker, and we've got maybe 5 yards of green to this pin. So, the point of this, right, a lot of players will get the 60 out, open it up, and try and play the hero shot, right? And that's fine if your technique is as good as it could be. So like in the first video that I did, again, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it, about using the bounce. If you can use the bounce properly, this isn't that difficult a shot, right? But if you're someone that struggles with strike, duffs, tins, that's not the shot. So, I mean, what I would play here, again, I would get the ball open, I've got my 60, and I would just try and use the bounce and duff it into the bunker. Yeah, so, well, yeah. Again, that's the whole point of this, is to demonstrate what not to do. But, realistically, the shot here, sometimes you put yourself in a position around the green where taking 3 is okay, right? So this is one of those situations where I would actually probably, depending on how I'm feeling that day, I mean, I haven't played a whole lot, so I'm a little rusty, but the shot here for the majority of players is to take a little bit of risk out, right? So square the face up a little bit more, play more like a normal shot than that hero shot, and just accept that the ball's going to go 15, 20 feet past and give yourself a putt, right? Worst case you're making, if you're here into a worst case you're going to make a bogey, it's not the end of the world. But if you do what I did on that first one there, duff it into the bunker, you could take 2, 3, 4 shots to get out, 2 putts later you've made an 8 or a 9 and your round's gone, okay? So, again, simple technique, open the face up just a little bit, not much, and just accept that the ball is going to go a little bit past the pin. I mean, that's actually not too bad. In fact, it's about 3 feet, that's quite good. But more often than not, you've got to just take the main danger out of play. You've got to take 6 or 7 out of play, which more often than not is going to involve taking any risk out and just, again, if you put it 20 feet past, that's fine, right? So that was pretty good as well, actually. But that's released on maybe 10 feet past, but that's okay. You know, I can hole a putt from 10 foot. What I can't do is hole a bunker shot here, okay? So, if you do want to play the hero shot, which I don't advise, what we need to do is make a few changes to the setup. So if Andy can come round here, we need to get the ball a little bit forward in the stance, again, to make sure we use the bounce. Open that club face up a little bit to expose more of that bounce at the bottom. And we want to make sure that what I didn't do on the first one there that I duffed into the bunker was I dug, right? I went this way. What you need to make sure you do is let that right hand pass and use that bounce to let the club release. So we'll try and demonstrate a little better than I did the first time. Hit it a little bit too hard, but that wasn't very good actually. It's just a very high risk shot. That's why I think the smart shot is to actually just play 15, 20 feet past it, but we'll try again. There you go. Much better. But it's just a higher risk shot. So again, the shot that I would advise in here, get the ball more in the middle of your stance rather than further back. Rather than further forward. Club face a little bit open and just play more like a basic pitch shot. Just accept that it's going to go. There you go. That was quite nice actually, that's pretty close. But at least that way you're taking the risk out. You're not going to duff it into the bunker and you're not going to make a 7 or an 8. Worst case, you're 10 feet past, you can hold the putt, or you 2-putt, get out there with your bogey, and then the main thing here is to try not to put yourself in this position in the first place. you know, if you've got a pin on the right-hand side of the green, don't aim at it if there's trouble, right? Okay, make sure the miss is to the left. But if you do miss it here, it's okay sometimes to just say, right, do you know what? I'm going to take 3 from here, and that's fine. Make a bogey, move on, right? Don't compound the error by playing the fancy shot, dubbing it into the bunker here, and potentially making a 6 or a 7. All right, so the next shot I want to talk about, this is quite a high tariff shot, quite a high risk shot, but it's a difficult situation we're in here, right? So we're not far off the green, but I'm going to get Andy to have a look here, right? This is one of these horrible lies, right? You can see there's a big tuft of grass behind the ball. So what's really easy to do in this situation here is you get a lot of grass caught between the club and the ball, and you just flub it a yard or 2 in front of you, right? So I'll try and demonstrate that. Right, so there you go. Perfect example, right? Horrible contact, loads of grass between the club and the ball, not a very good shot. So a shot that I've learned in this situation, it's a little bit higher risk, but if you get the technique right, it's really good, and it works in even worse lies than this one, right? So we'll show you a couple of worse lies after, but basically what we do here, right, if Andy can maybe get in behind this time, is we basically will want to stand as open as we can, right? Open the club face up, and the feel here is going to feel horrible. It's going to feel awful, right? But we need to basically pick this club straight up. So a normal swing path would be in here, right? We're picking the club straight up this way, right? And what it does is it allows you to use the bounce really well, but also the toe of the club to deaden the contact. So it means that we can make a bigger, more committed swing, but still have the ball just go a few yards. So I'm going to put a disclaimer in here. I haven't played the shot for a while, so forgive me if it's bad, right? But you want to get it nice and close to the ball, like I said, and the feeling is just picking it up as steep as we can, right? So look at that. That is unbelievable. Almost went in, right? That is incredible, right? So that shot is not possible from that lie with a standard setup, right? You need to get in here, pick the club up, come down steep on the back of it. You're basically trying to hit a huge slice. So again, dodgy lie there, loads of grass behind it. And I'll demonstrate again, right? So if I try and play a standard chip shot here, right? Not too bad that time, actually. You can't hide talent, eh? No, but more often than not, what happens, like I said, is you get, Andy's almost fallen into the burn there. That would make a good video. Go and take one for the team, would you? What happens more often than not, though, is you'll get a little too much grass behind it. Oh, dearie me. Maybe the lie's too good there, right? We'll do an even worse lie in here, right? So this is a huge tuft of grass behind it. Eh? What's the matter with you, Andy? You falling into the burn? So there's another example of it there, right? I've hold it again. Right, okay. Maybe cut those bits out. But the general thing is, you know, it's even good in, let's put it into a horrible, horrible lie, right? Have a look at that one, Andy. Look at that for a lie. It's in like a, I don't know, an old divot, a really bare patch. Trying to make solid contact out there is going to be a nightmare. So this is one where that shot is really going to help. So again, you're getting in close, picking the club up steep. A little bit of, even like a bit of spin on that to 2 feet. Like that is an unbelievable result from a horrendous lie there. So it's a very high tariff shot. It's something that you need to practice. Please don't try this on the golf course. The results, I take no responsibility for the results on the golf course, right? But it's a hugely beneficial shot for those horrible, horrible lies like this one. Again, big tuft of grass behind it. So you get in nice and close, pick the club up, and just drop it down on the back of the ball. Look at that. Unbelievable shot to have around the green. So that's also a really handy shot. It's a shot that I play a lot. The bunker that we demonstrated earlier. If you're on a tight lie over a bunker to a tight pin, the only way that I've found to get it close is to do that, is to get in close, open it up, and just slide the club. Yeah. We'll just ignore that one, right? But if you've got a shot over a tight bunker, or sorry, a tight lie over a bunker to a tight pin, let's imagine this is a bunker here. We've got 3 or 4 yards of green. If you play a standard shot, it's going to land on the green and release 20 or 30 feet past the pin. But if you use this technique, you can get the ball to land much higher and softer and get it close to that pin. There you go. It's actually short. But you're really just trying to cut across it, but use the bounce of the club to make sure the club doesn't dig in. Okay, so that's a more extreme version of the techniques I was talking about earlier. There's only a few situations where you would ever want to use that on the golf course, but if you get yourself in a lie, it's really good out with this stuff here where, say your ball's sitting in here, you've got a huge tuft of grass behind it. That's the best way to get the ball out, is to get in close, pick it up and just put some speed into it so that the club gets through it. But the combination of cutting across it in the open club face means the ball doesn't go 30 yards, it's going to go 10 yards where you want it. This is a great example of what I was talking about to Andy there, right? So, huge tuft of grass behind the ball, right? So what's going to happen here, more often than not, is you're going to do that, right? You're just going to catch too much rough between the club and the ball and it's going to go nowhere, right? So, this is the perfect example of this shot. See if I can get a really bad lie there again. There you go, that's horrible. Huge tuft of grass. But if you use this shot, get in close, pick it up, chop across it. Look at that. It's just incredible. I wish I'd known this shot 20 years ago. I might have been on tour by now. Who knows? You never know. But again, thanks again for all the support, guys. Please make sure the more engagement we get in the videos, like, subscribe, leave comments, tell me what you think, anything that you want to see, anything that you're not enjoying, anything like that, please let me know, because every bit of engagement helps. And also, I love the feedback. I love knowing if I'm doing a good job, if there's anything you think we can get better at. So, until next time, guys, thanks again.